Well, hello and welcome to episode 228 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, 228 episodes. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And if you broke those down, I'm willing to bet that about 10% of those have been films from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But we saw one last night, and dare I say, it might be the best of those.
Oh, might be the best. Okay, well, Brian, first of all, you're wrong. It is one of the best for sure. But I
Mm.
think I don't know, it's hard. It's hard to compete with Endgame for me, just because of that final scene. But it was definitely one of the best. It was definitely the best movie since Endgame, hands down, and probably in my top three of Marvel films, which is saying a lot because I loved Phase One. I like all the original Iron Man and Captain Americas, and I
Mhm.
thought all of those were really great. And it just kind of dove off a cliff recently, but now we have four new heroes that are all like amazing and a cute little baby, which
And
is
a cute
so
baby who's
far
going to be
so far
a
amazing, but
fifth a fifth hero, potentially.
maybe.
I don't know. We're going to be getting into that because today we were talking about Fantastic Four, First Steps, the new Marvel film. It just came out last week. We saw it last night on a very busy Tuesday night at the movie theater. I will say that thing was packed full to the brim with Fantastic Four showing on, I don't know, like 18 of the 22 screens they have there at the theater. So
Yep.
let's do this, Michaela. We have four cocktails this week for the Fantastic Four. So we're just going to go straight into the movie here after our break, and we're going to mix up those cocktails as we work our way through this story. So sit tight, and we'll be right back to mix up this week's drink and talk about this week's film, Fantastic Four: First Steps. We'll be right back.
Are you the protectors of this world?
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now marked for death. Your world will be consumed by the Devourer. There is nothing you can do to stop him, for he is a universal force, as essential as the stars. Hold your loved ones close, and speak the words you've been afraid to speak. Use this time to rejoice and celebrate, for your time is short. I herald his beginning, I herald your end, I herald Galactus.
Spoiler warning for Fantastic Four: First Steps. This movie just came out, so if you've not seen it, we're going to talk about all the things, and maybe there's surprises. I don't know. You'd have to be like a comic book fiend to tell me that, but we're going to talk about all of the things. So, you've been warned. If you don't want to watch that, we've got four cocktails for you to drink if you're going to watch it on your own before you listen to us talk about all the things, which I highly recommend because some of these cocktails, they look amazing. Some of them even taste okay. It's
That's
great.
right. Yeah, some of these are better than others for sure, and we're going to be making our way through those cocktails because there's one for each of our four characters, and it's a Marvel film, so spoiler warnings, of course. There isn't anything too crazy that you're going to glean if you haven't seen the trailers for it by now, for sure. So this was just released this past week. It was released in 2025. It was directed by Matt Shakman, who has done a lot of TV heavy lifting. He did WandaVision, most notably in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There, that Disney Plus show, which is probably the other next best thing that Marvel has done.
Yeah.
So there you go, Matt Shakman. Good job to you, sir. And this stars Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Eben Moss Bacharach as Ben Grimm, and Joseph Quinn plays Johnny Storm. So to get this movie kicked off, Michaela, we're basically thrust right into it. We are in Marvel, like VistaVision. It's awesome. It's epic. It's like the retro vision of the future, right? You remember you used to watch like on the black and white, they'd be like, "This is what houses are going to be like in the 2000s," and they were epic and amazing. And can confirm we never quite got there as a society, but
We did
looks pretty
not.
good. Looks pretty good. Lots of blues. What did you think about kind of the setup in this first like newsreel news program that's being presented by what was his name? I should have looked him up because he's amazing.
He's in the, it's like it's supposed to be the like the Corny Collins Dick Van Dyke show. Like he's one of those talk show hosts, right? He's like the Ed Sullivan of Earth 828.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. He's doing the now presenting. His name is Mark Gatiss. He's playing Ted Gilbert, so we're on the Ted Gilbert show. But what did you think about the aesthetic here before we send these four up into space?
So I thought the art direction of this whole movie was pretty impressive, because they show a lot of different things in the first like 10 minutes, right? We see a house, so we see like a bathroom, we see the way the studio is set up, we see the way the city is framed. And you're right, it's this beautiful mix of like futuristic 50s with postmodern like touches. So everything's in like blues. There's a lot of like heavy pinks, lots of oranges. Blues are everywhere, and they're all splendid. This film is beautiful. It's one of the most pleasantly surprising aspects of this film for me,
Hmm.
because there was so much attention to detail, and really trying to represent the comics, I feel like, and then the cartoons from the past. As you know, so my son's dad was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most amazing like throwback. Everybody looks exactly how you would think about them to look."
Hmm. Yeah.
But also it's like very futuristic, but it's futuristic in a way that we can't even comprehend right now. Like we don't have rockets that do the things that they do, and we don't have these weird teleporter things or any of that. So it was really a great balance of having it look really like 50s chic and like incredibly futuristic.
Yeah, very much because there was the Fantastic Four cartoon, which Hanna-Barbera did in the late '60s, and Hanna-Barbera also did stuff like the Jetsons, so it carried a lot of the same
Mm.
like aesthetic and like color palette to that, and that was one of the most impressive things to me for the film. Is obviously here kind of in this first little like newsreel segment that we're getting on the Ted Gilbert show, who is basically talking about Reed Richards and Sue Storm and Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm and how they were this up and coming like philanthropical like family and super smart and wanted to go explore and do all these things, and it kind of chronicles them basically going into space and garnering their superpowers, right? They flew too close to some sort of thing that gives you superpowers, and they come back to Earth, and they're do-gooders, and I loved that. I loved like they were like positive. They were like a happy family. A lot of
Mm.
times in the Marvel thing, you get like the group of superheroes, or even like in stuff like yeah, even stuff in like Guardians of
Or
the Galaxy,
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts, where they're cohesive and they're working together, but they still are like joking and like making fun and putting each
Yeah.
other down. Like these four just seem like a really like cohesive like happy family, and it hits on that really early. So I love that. But I was so impressed with the dedication to holding that aesthetic through the whole film. I thought maybe once we got through like the first like segment where they're introducing the Fantastic Four, who they are, kind of this world that we're living in, that some of that stuff would have started to drop off, but it seemed like they paid a lot of attention to the way things looked, and things, the technologies, like the way that like the phones looked and all that stuff had to be, kind of designed from scratch to fit into this world. And I thought that was pretty amazing stuff. So let's go ahead and get into our cocktails. As I mentioned, Michaela, we shoot these four up into space. They come back. Now they have their superpowers. So we're going to start here with none other than Reed Richards. He comes back. He's Mr. Fantastic. He's bendy. He looks like a Stretch Armstrong. He's Pedro Pascal. Let's mix up his drink.
All right. Mr. Fantastic. What you're going to need is a shaker. You're going to need 2 ounces of your favorite American dry gin, 3/4 of an ounce of blue curacao, half an ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Make sure it's fresh squeezed, please. Half an ounce of simple syrup. Simple syrup, if you don't know and you're brand new to this podcast, welcome. It's half water and half sugar that you melt. You heat just until the sugar is melted. It doesn't need to boil. Don't turn it into candy. That would be bad. But half an ounce of that, and then an egg white. So what you're going to do is you're going to dry shake, and that means that you're going to shake all these things without any ice. Be careful because that egg white will get you. It's going to explode if you're not real careful with it. Don't ask me how I know this. But you're going to shake that in your shaker tin for a little bit. Then you're going to wet shake. So you'll add some ice in and shake it again. And then you're going to double strain this into a Collins glass. Then you're going to top with some new ice, and a little bit of soda water. If you really fancy, I guess you could probably use some shimmer dust or something. I think that's what we saw when we went to the Regal Cinema. But you're
Hmm.
going to serve
Hmm.
it. You could serve it with like a blue twisty straw because that's where the twist comes from. Um, it's a fun looking tall glass of blue gin.
It's a good looking tall glass of blue. It's good looking, just like Pedro Pascal, I guess. So there you go. Um,
Yeah.
I did not have a blue twisty straw, so I could not have mine that way. I did just have a regular straw, so I had some of mine. This is basically just like a blue gin fizz. It's going to get some orange notes there from the blue curacao. Not my favorite drink, to be sure. Not something I'm probably going to go back and revisit. A little sweet, little one note a little too much. I don't
Yeah.
really like gin drinks coming up through a straw, to be honest. Maybe that's just me. What were your thoughts on the way this one tasted?
So I didn't mind the straw piece. Of what I found, this was a little bit one-dimensional. It's easy. If you're not a huge gin aficionado, you're gonna think this is fine. I think that if you really love gin and you're like really into different flavor profiles of gin, this is gonna seem a little flat to you. And flat not in the terms of the soda because that it's effervescent, but like flat in terms of the taste, right? So it's just
Yeah,
like you said, a little one note. Like there's not a whole lot of layers to this. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's pretty. It's a lovely blue. So I wasn't mad at it, but I didn't. It was not inspired. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like where we have certain drinks sometimes where we're just like, holy moly, I thought that would be horrible, and it's amazing. And then you think about it weeks and weeks later. This is not one of those, but it's
yeah.
solid. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure. It looks good if you're mixing something up for a crowd and you want to show off your fancy bartending skills. This is a good one to do because it's easy. It comes together real easy. It's fairly foolproof. You can make that. Now that we've gotten our Mr. Fantastic cocktail made, let's talk about Mr. Fantastic in the film, right? So he's Reed Richards. He's like the smartest dude around. I love that, and I love the way that Pedro Pascal kind of portrays him. Not really in like a nerdy sense, which I think is the way he gets portrayed sometimes, but more of just I don't know, like this person that's like caught up in his own head a lot of times, like can't get out of the way of his own thoughts, and to the rest of the family, they see that and they don't dissuade him from that. That's just
Mm.
one of his character traits. What did you think about Pedro Pascal's portrayal of Reed Richards of Mr. Fantastic, or any kind of threads through the movie that you really liked that he's involved in?
So I love him. Look, I'm a huge fan of Pedro Pascal. I mean, he just kind of showed up on an episode of Game of Thrones, and
He
everyone was like, "Who the heck is this
he
guy?"
came down from a spaceship.
He came down from a spaceship. He is a beautiful physical specimen, and also incredibly talented. I will say this. Um, there's a lot of really smart people in the Marvel universe, right? We have, the Hulk, Bruce Banner. He was like a neuroscientist or something like that. We had Iron Man, right? There's a lot of smart, but this was like a very different take on this really smart, really like obsessive personality. And it showed a little bit of what that would look like to be in a relationship with someone like him because he's in love and married to Sue Storm. And she knows him so well that even when they're faced with like these really diabolical kind of decisions to make, he is thinking through them and he can put aside his emotions enough to think through all of that, which is both like amazing, but also kind of very jarring for the people around him. But like you
Mhm.
said before, because this is a family and they are unlike any of the other groupings that we've had, right? They are not a bunch of dysfunctional misfits that happen to work together and then kind of end up liking each other. These were
Mhm.
people that liked each other first and
Right.
then ended up being in this space together and then on this adventure of now they're all weird because or superheroes because of the things that have happened to them. I think that really changes the dynamic a little bit, but I thought his character development was great. He has a different voice. His voice carriage and cadence was different than in any other film that I've ever seen him do. So he did a lot of real acting work in a
Yeah.
film that was I think going to totally be characterized as like an effects forward kind of feature. So I really loved that.
Yeah, I love that, and I loved kind of the brain work that he's doing. Trying to solve the problem of Galactus, who's going to be kind of the big quote unquote bad guy in the film. We can talk about whether we thought he was a real actual bad guy or not. As we kind of make our way through there. But I love that you mentioned the family dynamic. We should probably go ahead and lay that out for everyone. So Reed Richards is married to Sue Storm. Sue Storm is pregnant. We find that out straight off the bat. I love kind of the opening scene between them. You know, she's taking her pregnancy test, and she tells him
The
that
lights up.
she'll find his iodine or whatever it was like in 12 seconds. That's very specific. So I loved that. Her brother is Johnny Storm, played by
Ooh,
Joseph Quinn, and then Ben Grimm is the pilot who's going to be going on this adventure with them. And Ben Grimm, I believe, is Reed Richards' best friend, right? So
yes.
that's why they all have this close knit relationship. Uh, come to pass, and they basically get these superpowers on top of already being a really strong kind of family unit. So I love that. Let's go ahead and mix up Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman's cocktail next, Michaela, because we probably need to talk about the I was going to say elephant in the room, but really it's the baby in the room.
It is. It's the baby in the room that apparently may become an elephant. I'm not real sure. Uh, okay, so here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take a martini glass. You're gonna either take a drop of absinthe and like drop it into the martini glass and swirl it around a little bit, and then pour out the excess. Or you're gonna use what Brian does, which is like a mister.
Mhm.
And just because you just want a hint of absinthe, you do not want this to be like a star anise soaked drink, okay? But that's how you're going to set up your glass. And I say that at the beginning because then you're going to take 2 ounces of lavender infused vodka, half an ounce of white vermouth. That's a very specialized vermouth. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then a pinch, just a pinch of glitter. Now, it needs to be edible glitter. They also call this, what do we call it?
Oh, shimmer.
Shimmer. Food shimmer is what you could call it.
Yeah, find it in
And
your
it,
cake aisle.
yeah, and it depends on the color that you want. You could certainly use purple to kind of give off that lavender look. You could use white. You could use anything you want. So I think I use silver just to keep it
Hmm.
very iridescent. You're gonna put that in a shaker tin and with a little bit of ice is what I did, and then I strained it into the absinthe glass and inhaled, and it was really nice. Like I hated star anise and licorice, but if you just have a hint of it, I find that that's really lovely.
You've grown so much, Michaela.
I have, I
Just
have.
like Sue Storm here in our story. Yeah, absolutely. I also used it was like a metallic like black and silver kind of shimmer, and I was really concerned actually about the way that that was going to colorize my drink. But actually, it did a really neat kind of thing. If you go onto the social media or onto the website, you can see the picture of the one that I made, and it kind of gave it like the same effect as what it looked like on screen when Sue Storm would make something disappear.
Mm,
So I thought that that was really cool. Yeah, this is basically just a it's kind of a martini. I didn't have any lavender infused vodka, so I used a couple of dashes of lavender bitters in mine.
mm,
Um, and the only real problem I had with this too much, I mean, it was fine in terms of just having a martini, uh, but even with the absinthe, just washing that there, you're just getting the aroma of the star anise. It really like blankets out any lavender flavor that you're going to get. So they seem to kind of offset one another, where I
mm.
wasn't really getting any of the lavender goodness in my vodka. So I think if you didn't have lavender infused vodka, or you didn't have like a lavender bitters or tincture or anything like that, you could probably just skip it, to be honest, because really you're just getting a nice dry, vodka martini that just has, kind of these aromatic notes of the anise.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough because this was vodka and not gin, but I mean, if you wanted the purple look, right? If you wanted to give it that kind of motif, there were lots of other options that
Hmm.
wouldn't have been as floral because I do agree that the star anise piece and the florality of the lavender didn't hit as nicely as I would have liked. Um, and I don't know, again, I did not have lavender vodka either. What I used was just a touch of like a quarter ounce of lavender syrup
Hmm.
because it would give it that color.
Right.
But that even was almost too sweet because the sweetness that and then it became like a little bit licoricey, like a chew. You know what I mean? That you would have. And it wasn't as like it wasn't bad. Like I love a absinthe washed glass because it's not overpowering, but I didn't really feel like this hit a bunch of notes. I think that we probably could have used gin. We could have used an indigo gin from like Empress or something else, and it probably would have sat a little bit differently on the palate and been a little bit more dynamic.
hmm Yeah, I definitely agree there. So that is the Invisible Woman cocktail. Now let's talk about the Invisible Woman, Sue Storm. We mentioned she is pregnant, kind of right off the bat in the movie. That was one of my gripes going into it. So I was really glad that it got addressed like immediately in the film because if it would have like hung out over the film, that would have been pretty annoying. So maybe the people at Marvel knew what they were doing better than I did, and my my concerns were not granted or warranted there. But yeah,
Kudos.
she starts off pregnant. I love that she goes out, and of course, Ben Grimm, the Thing, recognizes it like immediately, right? Because she stumbles on her words there when Johnny says that she's
Mm,
late, and Johnny is of course slow to pick up on it, but so excited for her.
it's also his
About then.
sister,
There's also his
so
sister,
maybe
so
that's
that's so
okay.
that's good. So that's good. He's going to be an uncle, right? They're going to be the best uncles ever, he says. About then, the Silver Surfer turns up. That's not great. Julia Garner is playing the Silver Surfer here, or Shala Ball, I think is the
Mm.
actual name of the Silver Surfer. But basically comes up, right? She's playing this Herald character and says, "Listen, people of Earth, sorry, you're marked for death. Go about your business. Enjoy your last few days there." And she takes off, right? Johnny goes off chasing her, and that then sends the rest of the Fantastic Four up into space, where the birth is going to come a little prematurely. Let's talk about that here a little bit. Let's talk about the Silver Surfer, Michaela, and let's talk about that first kind of space trip, because really there's only like two like kind of big like set pieces, I guess, that you
Right.
would think of in like a Marvel film, and this is the first one. What did you think about our section here
So
and
I
Johnny
really,
being totally infatuated with this
oh my
silver naked
gosh.
space lady?
Yeah, she's like a female Terminator 2, right? Like, and I just want to point
Hmm
out that at no point is there coconut in any of these drinks, so you're welcome. But I didn't even recognize it as Julia Gardner at first. I was like, I know her, I know that face, I know that body. But like she's got a very different voice, and she's like, "You're all going to die. You're welcome." And Johnny is completely infatuated, which I find so funny because Johnny can have anybody he wants. I love that we kind of see this vulnerability that the Thing has in this whole thing too. Like he's sort of like the odd man out, right? He's like everybody either adores him and wants him to say these lines that are he doesn't really say. But as they're getting ready to like go, he's talking about um, how his like the suits that they create and like the dynamic of now we have a pregnant Sue Storm, and she's like, I'm going up, and there's nothing you're going to be able to do to stop me. I can see the baby on the inside. I love that effect where they're like
Oh
doing
yeah,
basically a sonogram
yeah.
because she can make things invisible, including her stomach, and you can see like the baby all scrunched up, and that was weird, but also very cool. Um, I really liked the dynamic of the ship. Again, the art direction. I just want to point out her pregnancy blinked. She had a pregnancy test that blinked. That's really cool. That was really cool. I was like, no way, because it goes like beep beep, you're pregnant. Beep beep, you're pregnant. It was so sweet. Anyway, I just like this whole space piece where they go up in space. She's like strapped in. She's got this brand new suit that they had to make for the baby. They've run about 87 million tests on this baby at this point. And she's probably 7 or 8 months. Like it's not so early that it's scary. But
She needed a doctor's note to fly to space, I
she
think.
right. It's not, but that something terrible is not terrible, but something like really actiony is going to happen because who is like, yeah, let me go and like meet Galactus, who looks like a giant. He's basically a giant robot samurai, is what he looks like. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know where they came up with that, with like these blue purple eyeballs. But he's enormous. And when they go to meet him and they're like, hey, look, we would like to maybe negotiate. Do you have to kill our planet? We find out that the Silver Surfer is the one that picked the planet in the first place. So I would have asked more questions about that and been like, why? But then what I think the missed opportunity here was, again, we don't really understand until a little bit later in the film why Galactus wants Earth. and then
Mhm.
why he then wants to make a deal for Earth in exchange for their unborn child at this point, right? He can see that Sue Storm is pregnant and he's like, oh, that's like the second coming of God or something. And I need that baby. That baby's going to save me.
Yeah.
And we don't really harp and, we don't harp too much on that fact. But in my black belt degree Lean Six Sigma brain would have been like, why again do we think that that baby's so great? Because we
Well,
probably would have been able to negotiate something better instead of just saying, no, we're not giving you our baby. And then, the rest of the
well,
film would have changed.
that's
But
that's what you say when someone wants your baby. You say no. That's the right answer. Unless maybe you're shallow ball. We'll talk about that here in a second. No, I like this section a lot. I thought it was really interesting because the Silver Surfer comes as the Herald. Like I said, she turns up and is like, "People of Earth, enjoy your last week or whatever here because Galactus is coming and everything is going to be gone. So enjoy that time." And then obviously Johnny takes off after her. So it's interesting from that standpoint. Like, did she pick this planet because she knew of the baby and she knew that
mm,
Galactus would want the baby? Because apparently she's in charge of choosing the planets, or was that just like
hmm
completely by happenstance? Like, does she just
right?
turn up at planets? And because normally there's not, a Human Torch that's going to, fly up after you and grab onto your surfboard. That's probably not something that normally happens. So, did she know that? Is she smarter
Mm,
than this whole thing? Is she key
mm.
to all this? I don't know for sure. But I like that section. I like she kind of turns up there once they're in the spaceship, and she's like, "Oh, are you the representative of Earth?" And Reed Richards is like, "Yep, sure am." And she's like, "All right, you guys can come talk to Galactus." So I like that, and I like the characterization of Galactus because I didn't really feel like Galactus was portrayed to be like the super like bad evil dude, right? He's just like a galactically huge giant of a person that eats planets and like, sorry, that's just what I do. That's what I have to do to keep myself going, right? Like he's just like existing as Galactus, and I thought that
I'm just
that
a
that was kind of
hungry hippo that
that
eats
that was yeah.
planets.
I thought that was kind of interesting, right? It wasn't that he was like out for Earth to do destruction, but yeah, he kind of sees the baby there and becomes fixated on that, and he thinks that the baby maybe could help to like squelch that hunger
Mm.
in some way. I don't know how. I assume that that's going to be laid upon us in some future storytelling, is my guess. But yeah, I thought that section was really great, and obviously, the team makes it back to Earth. There, they get the one up on the Silver Surfer, send her through black hole, and make their escape there. Let's talk about the Human Torch. He was the one that chased her up there in the first place. Johnny Storm, played by Joseph Quinn. We got a pretty good one here for this one. The first two of these cocktails were, kind of near misses, but this one was firing on all cylinders, I thought.
Yeah, it's
See
pretty
see
good.
what I did there? I did
I
it
see what you did
just
there.
came to me. Just came to me.
All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to take half an ounce of falernum, 3 dashes of Angostura bitters. We're going to need that. You want an orange wheel cut into 4 pieces. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a shaker tin. You're going to put all of that into the shaker tin. You're going to muddle this, and then you're going to dump all of it into a large rocks glass. Then you're going to add some ice, your favorite ginger beer, and but you're only going to leave, you're only going to use a little bit of ginger beer. You're going to kind of measure that with your heart, but you want to leave a little bit of room because then you're going to float 2 ounces of overproof rum. This recipe that comes from digwinit.com. It's calling for Ray and Nephew overproof rum. I did not have any of that, so I used what I had. And you're going to carefully light the rum on fire, and you're going to sprinkle powdered cinnamon over the top for sparkles. We need to preface this by saying, do this with your parents. If your children, please don't do this ever at home on your own. Use fire safety. There's also a safer option. You can just use a dark rum and use a cocktail smoker to add smoke to the cocktail if you would prefer not to set it on fire. But this definitely, man, that cinnamon hits, man. It like
This,
gets all torchy
yeah.
and
It makes
Warm.
some good sparkles there, yeah, for sure. And the cinnamon is definitely kind of a warming thing. And actually, the falernum is more of a warming syrup or liqueur as well. Let's talk about that here for a second because listeners at home might not know what falernum is, and I certainly am pretty new to the falernum game myself. But basically, you can think of it as an orgeat. Syrup, but this has some additional spices, so like ginger, lime, cloves, allspice in there. But it's based on based on almonds, the same as an orgeat, and you'll see it in a lot of like tiki drinks. So you can go
Mm.
ahead and grab that. You can buy just like a non-alcoholic version of it. I think I ended up getting mine online because you're probably not going to find it at your like big grocery stores. You might find it if you have like a really good like gourmet grocery store or like a nice liquor store. Converse to that, you can get Velvet Falernum or Falernum
Hmm.
liqueur. You might be able to find that at your liquor store if they're pretty well stocked, but again, that might be kind of hard to come by. So you might be going online to do that. You could swap that out for some orgeat. I think that that probably would be totally fine for sure.
Yeah.
So you can do that. But this actually was like it was like dead simple in terms of a tiki drink because it was just like the muddled orange, a little bit of that falernum, and then some ginger beer that you're floating the rum on top. I tried to light mine; it would not light for whatever reason. I don't really know why. I think I might have left it in the glass a little bit too long as I was taking the picture. I think so. It probably sank down a
Mm.
little bit below the top of my glass there, so I couldn't get it to light. And that's really not all that important. I would probably just, if I was making this again, I would just use like a dark rum or like an aged rum because I think that
Mm.
the flavor would be a little bit better than using the high proof rum. But that's just me, so go about it. But what'd you think about this, Michaela? We've been doing a lot of like tiki inspired things.
Well, I love setting stuff on fire. Look, I had a giant bottle of Velvet Falernum, so that's what I used because still have like only used like 2 ounces of it in this giant bottle, but it keeps pretty well, so that's good. I really liked this. I agree. So if you, it definitely makes a good look if you're going to set something on fire, and that's cool. I don't think overproof rum kind of loses it for me because I like the richness of like just a dark, uh, kind of a even a spice rum. Although in this case, I don't know if I would do a spiced necessarily because
Hmm.
I wouldn't want it to overpower the rest of it. But I do think that you're probably right there. The presentation's really cool though. If you're gonna light it on fire, can't beat it. But this was really good. This was definitely my favorite of the drinks because it was much more varied and a little bit more, I don't know, it more mature in flavor profile than
Hmm.
what we've seen so far.
Yeah, this one was certainly the most inspired and the most kind of different of these cocktails. The other three cocktails that we're covering this week are, pretty much, standards or kind of riffs on standards, but this felt like it stood out as something that was a little bit more individualistic. So I like that a lot. And maybe that is indicative here of Johnny Storm himself, the human torch. So let's talk about him. As I mentioned, he's flying up. He's like, dang, Silver Surfer lady, into her. I want to learn more about her. And you know what? I mean, if you're uh, Reed Richards, you're busy. You're worried about things, right? You're a new dad. You're probably not getting enough sleep. I like that. There were a couple of sleep jokes in the movie that weren't like hit over the head. They were just kind of said in passing. I thought that was really good. Again, like the family dynamic is what sold me on this movie through and through. But I love Johnny because he's like, man, that girl is super interesting to me, in a lot
Mm.
of ways, right? Beyond just that she was this angelic, metallic, being from another planet, but she also had this other language. I want to learn about that. What does that mean? Why did she speak it in her own language? And it turns out we have a bunch of recordings that Reed Richards had made on these sweet looking gold records. Those are awesome. They should totally just
They
sell
do look
those.
really cool.
They look really cool. So he's going to start listening to those, right? Johnny, is not commonly known as the one of these people that is real smart, right?
Right,
He's
right.
kind of the more like Playboy type of a character here, but he sets down pen and paper in hand and does a little bit of work to figure out what she's saying. And we learned that the Silver Surfer actually has been in pretty much the exact same situation that the Fantastic Four find themselves in now.
Right. She was told that she needed to sacrifice herself to save her planet. And this was interesting because again, she looks very human in like the flashbacks. So it kind of makes you wonder like what if his appetite for Earths are similar because when you look at the Earth that they, or the planet that they go to when they first see Galactus and they see the planet being basically eaten. It looks like a green Earth versus a blue Earth. It's kind of interesting. So it kind of makes you wonder if it's this, what the criteria needs to be for Galactus to come find you and eat you. I guess, and how that works. But I did like Johnny is so committed to his family, and even at the end, he is about to sacrifice himself for the baby, right? I mean, it's a really sweet moment when you think, oh gosh, we're going to see the end of him because he is going to try, they've got this portal open. Galactus is about to fall into it, but he is holding on, and you think that Johnny's going to sacrifice himself. And it ends up that the Silver Surfer comes in and does it for him, so Johnny is okay. But his dedication to his family is really special here. And you kind of see that throughout, where he's kind of considered the least smart of all of them, but his intentions and his character kind of outshines or overshines that and makes up for, the lack of crazy intelligence or, you know, and he's definitely the more fun. He's the one who would go out and party. You know what I mean? And he's got like this persona, and he's in ads that are, put up around the city, even in
Right.
like nooks and crannies, like of grocery stores and things. Have him at it, like
Yeah, because
it's
there's a
just
yeah, yeah, because there's a bunch of like like billboards and stuff around town, but they'll keep like cutting and they'll show, like Reed Richards or Sue Storm like on the cover of like Scientific Weekly and
right,
stuff like that.
right,
And then yeah, like Johnny's out like advertising for like Coca-Cola or whatever, the case
yeah.
is for sure.
He's like, this hits, it's I don't know. I really liked this version of the Fantastic Four, because
Mhm.
all of these characters just really to me hit on what they needed to. They weren't so like Johnny wasn't so um sexualized like he has been in the past, where he's like this playboy. Like definitely there's this
Right.
chemistry
Mhm.
between him and Silver Surfer, but it's not over the top. It's just really, I don't know. I really liked this version of Johnny.
Yeah, yeah, he came off as like way more humble of a portrayal of Johnny, and I
Hmm.
like that quite a bit. Um, there. So yeah, you mentioned we were building kind of these like these arch things, basically like around like the entire world. Reed Richards has hypothesized. You'll see him kind of at the very beginning of the movie. He's like trying to move this egg, right? And he, hypothesizes that if I can move an egg, I can basically move anything, right? So there's some sort of some sort of scientific law that I don't pretend to remember right now, but give me a big enough lever and I can move the Earth. That's what he's trying to do here in this instance. And they built all these portals. I love this version of Earth because everyone came together and built these portals in like record time, as opposed to our Earth, which is not how that would happen in any way,
Not at
shape, or
all.
form. So
No.
that was good. That was good. They get these portals made, and then yeah, Galactus is going to show up, and he thinks he's going to have like a snack on the Earth. But no, we're gonna send him off to like a different galaxy, like a million light years away or whatever was the plan. But bad news, the Silver Surfer sees that that's the plan. She comes through and busts up all of those arches, and we're only left with one. Right, it happens to be in like Times Square, right in front of the Baxter Building, where the
Right.
Fantastic Four call their home, and it's just right down the road from a school that we go by earlier in the film with the thing. So we better get Ben Grimm's cocktail made here before we finish up our story. Michaela, let's talk about the thing. This one definitely a riff on a classic. So this one's a good one. Has all the ingredients here that steal my heart. But could you make up a thing cocktail?
Sure. All right. So, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a shaker tin. You're going to want to add 2 ounces of Rittenhouse rye whiskey or any rye whiskey that you have on hand, an ounce of Grand Marnier, a quarter of an ounce of simple syrup, 3 dashes of orange bitters, and then you're gonna want to stir that rather than shake it. You're going to want to strain it into a small rocks glass with a very large ice cube. It would be really cool if you had like I don't know, an ice cube that looked like a rock because he's very rock
Mm,
formation,
yeah,
right? But
that's
not a
what that's what
rock,
you call that's
not
what you call an ice cube, right? You
yeah,
call it a
yeah,
rock.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
rocks, yeah.
Hmm.
And then if you got it, place an orange rock candy stick in the glass because that'd make it look really cool. And you're gonna enjoy this. Look, I'm not a huge fan of the rye whiskeys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I am. Sometimes it hits and sometimes it misses. I really liked this one though. This was really good.
Yeah, it blends in really well with the Grand Marnier, right? That orange flavor
Mm.
there in the orange bitters. It kind of takes those sharper edges off of the rye. If you're not familiar with the rye whiskey, think of like a rye bread. It just has kind of that like spicy note to it. So you can do that. You can certainly just make this with a regular old, bourbon or any other kind of whiskey that you wanted to use in place of this. But I really like the rye here too. I think that heat kind of gave it a little nudge there through the orange, and I thought that that was pretty good. I have no idea where you get rock candy from. If you have like a 1960s candy store by you, I guess that's probably where you get it. I think you can make rock candy. I definitely didn't do that. But what I did do is I found those little candied orange slice gummy things.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And that looked kind of rocky, right? Because it has that like hard, like
yeah.
thick, like sugar, like coating on the outside of it and stuff like that. So I thought that that looked pretty good. And then I got a whole bag of those to eat as well. So that's been pretty nice. And the thing was good. This is a really great riff, just on an old fashioned. I like this. I like the inclusion of the Grand Marnier, or you could use Cointreau or any other triple sec that you wanted to use there in that. But this one was pretty good. I might try this riff out another time or two. And certainly, it's easy enough to make an old fashioned and just, play around with the addition of a different liqueur or something is something that I like to do on my own.
Yeah. No, I think it was good. I really I liked, I don't know, I felt like this was a little bit of a paying homage to the thing in terms of layers, because the thing, we've seen a couple of different versions of the thing over the course of the last 30 years of these films being made. But again, this I think was my favorite version of him.
Hmm.
Um, it was really representative. He's kind of this very kind of subdued, classic kind of person. He's very classy. So when we first are introduced to him, it's like Sunday night, family style night. He's talking to the robot whose name I have forgotten. But they are making food, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna add something. It's not that I don't like it. I'm just gonna add a little bit to it." And he's like really careful with other people's feelings. So even when somebody's like, "Hey, say the thing, do the thing," he's like really polite and not ruining their time meeting him. And
Hmm.
I really loved that. So like it's kind of like in the drink where like it's kind of heavy, and then you underneath it, there's this other kind of profile to the flavor of the drink. I felt like that is exactly how he is portrayed as the thing, and
Hmm.
that he seems really rocky and kegly, and he can, you know, kill a building really easily, like he can destroy things and lift things, but really he's just very soft on the inside,
Hmm.
and I really love that.
Yeah, he's very, very soft-spoken, very meek. I really love the way he's portrayed in this film versus some others where he's portrayed more as like a Hulk, like angry kind of
Right.
a thing. I like this quite a bit, and we even get to have a quick run in with his love interest, I guess, from the comics. I have
Mm.
I have no idea who this person is, but Natasha Lyonne is playing Rachel Rosman. We meet her there as he's passing by the school, right, and all the school kids are asking him to pick up this like a Volkswagen Beetle or something like that. So he
Yeah.
picks it up, but I love that too because he is like very like playful with the kids. Like he like pretends to like try to do it, and he's like, I can't, and he's like, oh, let me try one more time, and he does. And then Rachel comes out, and she's like, oh, you should come by and see the kids. So I love that. One of the things I really liked about this movie, kind of overall, was it made me want to see more Fantastic Four stuff, as opposed to like I can't think of any other Marvel thing, aside maybe Black Panther, that has made me want to learn more about that world because it
Mm.
seems like by and large the MCU has existed to make you want to learn about what's coming next or something else,
Mm-hmm.
but never
Mm-hmm.
learn more about like the actual subject of the film. But this definitely made me want like have like a desire to see these four characters in more stories.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, like I've said before, like this film really hit it. The dynamic between the characters was really good. I thought the writing was spot on. There is still that hint, we have once Galactus is defeated, like spoiler warning, right? They defeat Galactus, the Silver Surfer also kind of goes away. Um, and the baby's okay and everybody and I once, there's still this moment at the end where something happens in the post-credit scenes and you're like, someone is interested in the baby and who is this baby and what's coming next and what's the next baddie. So there's still that aspect of it.
Hmm.
But this is so much more balanced to me. And you actually have time to invest in these characters and invest in the world that is there. And it starts from the very beginning. Like when it says Earth 828, I was like, oh, is this going to be a new multiverse thing? I mean, I thought what was going to happen is that they were just going to, rather than try and teleport Earth or teleport Galactus into another dimension, they were going to actually teleport themselves as a
Oh,
way
okay.
to stay. And then Galactus wouldn't need to kill Earth or eat Earth because he would be so looking for, he'd be still looking for the baby or something,
Well,
right?
that
And that
that
they would
was
end
that
up
was Reed
on.
Richards. That was Reed Richards' plan, right? I made that clear when I said it before. But when he was moving the egg, that was his plan. He was going to move Earth out of the way so Galactus couldn't
Right,
find it. Yeah.
right. But I thought that they were just going to move the four of them.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
Right. And so that they would end up on the same Earth that we have seen, Spider-Man and Iron Man and Thor and the Avengers and all of that. Like I thought that he would just
And
show up
everyone
and they'd
else
be
who
in the middle of
died and
this.
conveniently came back.
Right, right. All of that. But they didn't do that. So I was really proud of Marvel for not falling into that trap because it really changed the way I felt about this movie. I really enjoyed it. It's probably in my top five of
Yeah.
Marvel films. And I've watched all of them, right? And I've been a fan for a very long time.
Mhm.
But you and I have both said, we have a lot of audience fatigue with Marvel, and so they cannot just keep coming out with bigger baddies. What we need are better stories of heroes as well, and like the dynamic of the superhero complex. It's or else it's just going to continue to be this enmeshing of bad versus good, and then what's next. And this did a really good job of balancing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It did a great job of balancing that. And I mean, in a superhero film, I mean, really, is probably less than like 5 minutes of total action in the film, right? He gets kind of the pursuit with the Silver Surfer there when they go to meet with Galactus or go to find out who the heck the Silver Surfer was. They didn't even know what they were doing. I don't think when they went up there. And then kind of at the end, you have just basically it's just them trying to push Galactus over into this arch, right? Like they're not really trying to defeat him. They know that they can't do that. Have you seen this guy? That he's freaking gigantic. So I love that. I love the design of like the little car that's driving around, and it was so like not important, but just every once in a while, like one of the members of the team would like be in the car driving around, and I love that. Like they didn't talk about it, they didn't say where like the design came from, how it got made, anything like that. Like I said, this it left me wanting so much more Fantastic Four stuff, and that's definitely been a rare thing, at least for me, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we still don't know at the end of this, other than in that post-credit scene, like we have no idea still how these four people are going to be relevant in the existing world of the MCU, right?
Right. And I'm kind of okay with that. Like this was so different. And I want all of the art pieces. Like I want all collector's items from this film. I think it would be so cool if they came out with a soundtrack that was on one of those gold records.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, it would be super cool. Like there's so many things about this that I loved in terms of the look and the feel and just the overall messaging. I'm not really ready for it to turn into this, tried and true, quote unquote, method of how the Marvel universe kind of everything gets kind of roped in and comes together, and that's fine. I'm just not ready for it yet because I want more of this. I agree completely. I think this was really really special. And which is good because I mean I just don't know how much further they could have gone without really changing direction and taking another leap the Marvel universe because we were so tired of
Yeah.
seeing the same thing over and over again, basically.
Yeah. I am not a film executive, nor do I pretend to be one, but I feel like it was very important that they did this correctly, and I feel like they did a really good job on that. Whether that was decisions that had been made from the top, whether that was decisions that were made by Matt Shackman. The casting for this was spectacularly good. Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby
Mm.
were incredible together. Insanely good looking couple right there for sure on screen. And we have to give a shout out to Herbie, the little robot. Herbie's the best, little
Kirby's
helper
the best.
droid bud there. Voiced is very loose. He does have a tiny bit of dialogue, but he's voiced by Matthew Wood, who works for Skywalker Sound. He did the voices for the battle droids in Star Wars. He did the voice for General Grievous in Star Wars there as well. So that's pretty cool. Wanted to give a shout out to him. And the soundtrack was good. I don't know if like that chanty like Fantastic Four thing is part of the soundtrack, but it's pretty epic. Like if you just like walked into a room and had that turn on like every time you went in, if you could set like your smart device to like play that
Mm,
anytime you like enter a room, you'd feel pretty epic about your day.
yeah, it's a
I
good
will say
walk-up
so.
song for
Yeah.
any sports fans
Any
out there.
sports? There you go. Absolutely. So that is it. Did you have anything else you wanted to make mention of here for the Fantastic Four, Michaela?
No,
Other than it was good,
I
you should go see it. You probably did. Everyone in the whole world is going to see it, I think, so far. So
that's right. Yeah, no, it's worth your time. And the cocktails are pretty good. Again, if you're gonna pick one, I think I'd probably pick Johnny, the Fireball, the Human Torch cocktail.
hmm.
I think I'd pick that one out of the three. Followed closely by the Things, and then the Invisible Woman. Because the Invisible One, I just think it. We could lobby bar that and make that a little bit more dynamic. I think,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I mean,
the
it
cocktails
was
are decent.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
The Invisible Woman. I thought it was fine. It just wasn't anything special that stood out to me there for that. But yeah, and shout outs to our local Regal Theater who did make all four of their cocktails for us last night. Maybe we'll talk about those over on our Patreon. So check out that if you want some more bonus content. But I think that's going to wrap it up here for Fantastic Four First Steps. It was a good one. We both are very high on it. Like I said, kind of at the top or alluded to, I think this might be my favorite Marvel film. And it sounds like
Mm,
Michaela has it up there in her top couple as well. So definitely go check it out. You can do that right now at your local theater for the next several weeks, I'm sure of it. So
I'm sure.
check that out. And thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, you had one of these cocktails along the way. Let us know. Send pictures if you're going to the theater. We'd love to see stuff like that. If you're having a cocktail, send us all that stuff. You can do that on our social medias. That's at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. You can go to www.drinkthemovies.com if you want to see pictures of ours, episode recaps, links to Drink the Video Games, links to the merchandise shop. All that stuff can be found there on the website. And Patreon, which I just mentioned, is patreon.com/drink the movies. We have hangouts, we have bonus episodes, we have cocktail chats, we get special sneak previews of the video game stuff I've got going on. All that stuff can be found there. Again, it is patreon.com/drink the movies, and we appreciate our patrons so much. We also appreciate people that take time to rate us on their favorite podcast platform, follow along, and make sure they're checking out our two drops we're doing every week. Michaela, where can they do that?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. We don't just do movies, we also do Drink the Video Games, which you should definitely go check out. We're doing Star Wars video games right now. And that's going to be awesome. Super excited about that. Brian does a great job there. I guarantee on the rectangle that you're listening to us on now, there is a subscribe button. There is also a button to leave a review. If you could leave us a 5-star review, share us on all your social medias, it really helps build the community and get all the Drink the Movies goodness out there.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap it up for episode 228, Fantastic Four First Steps. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
Movies.
Movies.
That little kid was not that creepy. It was the best baby I've seen in a while.
I think it was a real
Because
baby, so that
might have been a
probably
real
helps.
baby.
I think it was
Big
several
eyes,
babies. Big
big
eyes,
blue
yeah.
eyes.
You have to be a good-looking baby if you're Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal's, I guess. So.
That's right. That's right. Best looking kid ever.